So it's 2025, Kath. Hello.
And it's more than halfway through January already, Elle.
Oh, stop it. I hadn't even thought about that part.
And it is so good to be here with you.
Yeah. In the same room, in the studio. Here we go again, 2025.
25. And yeah, what a wonderful break we've all had. Did you have a good break?
We had a really, really busy break. We still have family staying with us since before Christmas. But it was great. It's just, there's nothing like family, right?
Oh, yeah, we had Christmas just with so many family members this year, and it was so special. So you're right. Family and Christmas time together, that is special.
It is. It is. And look, we had planned and scheduled for us to come together, well, not come together, but to record our first podcast today at this time of day. But we didn't plan on you being in Townsville. So it's good to see you, but I know it's not under the best of circumstances, of course.
Yeah, so I'm back in Townsville. Just briefly attended a funeral of a dear friend this morning, and it was so incredible to hear the testimony of a life well lived.
Yeah.
Our dear friend was someone who everybody there, would have the same sentiment that he'd walk into a room and it was just, he'd bring brightness and light into a room when he walked in, and he made you feel special whenever he had a conversation with you. And it was just so inspiring. I was listening to all that was being shared about him today and thinking, gosh, that's the kind of life we've been created to live, so much life to give. He was very generous of himself and his time and his focus on other people and just caring and loving on people. So very sad that his life was way too short for sure. But such a beautiful life to be able to celebrate as well.
Yeah. And it's interesting that like we had scheduled a conversation around living life well and being expectant of great things for 2025, and we had these ideas of what we're going to talk about, and yet here we are today sort of thinking about the reality of what it looks like to live a life well.
Yeah.
And if your friend lived expecting good things, and there's one thing to expect it and to live well, but we've got a part to play. Yeah. And I think that's probably a really great conversation for us to talk about today is what's our part to play? If we want 2025 to be a great year, we don't know what's going to happen. Things come and go out of our control. We know this.
Yeah.
But what's our part to play then if we really want to go and have an expectation and live 2025 well?
Great questions. Big questions, Elle. And as you were sharing now, the other thing I've heard in the podcasts and things that I follow and the mentors that I follow is that 2025 is actually a jubilee year in the Gregorian calendar and the Christian world, and it reminded me when we were visiting Rome last year, so much of Rome was behind scaffolding, and one of our tour guides along the way, we had a conversation and said, what's happening, why is there all this scaffolding? And she said, 2025 is a jubilee year, and so they're cleaning up Rome because there are big celebrations in the Catholic Church for the jubilee year. And hearing other conversation around this being a jubilee year, I'm curious about
what is a jubilee? Good question.
And biblically, it is a year of great blessing.
Wow.
And grace and favor, and it's a year where in biblical times debts were paid and people were forgiven of things, and like a year of reconciliation sort of, but also blessing, just really, really great blessing. And so starting this year with the funeral it's been quite, there's that whole sort of side of it, but also yet being able to celebrate a life so well lived. And if I know anything about this friend, he definitely would have if he was still here, you know, wouldn't be a question. Like, I'm going to live 2025 the best way I can. And I think that's just his general approach to life. But I think you are right. It's one thing to be hopeful that this will be a great year because we hear that it's a year of Jubilee and it is a year of the Lord's favour. But you are so right. You know, there is a role to play at how do we partner in making 2025 great. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great. So Year of the Jubilee, I've never heard of that before. So thank you for bringing that to our attention there. So the role for us to play, you know, I often sit and think, there was something I read the other day on Instagram, you know, you sit and you scroll, but it was a really good thing that popped up, and it reminded me of the neuroscience around how our brain goes and actively seeks evidence for what we're thinking. Yeah. So if we think, you know, life is hard, it's going to be a rough year, our brain will actively, every time something bad happens, we'll go, yeah, see, told you. Yeah. Told you it's going to be a bad year. And so our brain actively seeks evidence. And so that got me thinking about, okay, I want 2025 to be a great year. I want my brain on board, collecting evidence, showing me the snippets, the little things, the little moments. Hey, yeah, it is a great year, in spite of all of the big challenges and the things that are going to come our way. For example, starting the year with a funeral. That is not, if we said, okay, what's the best year we could have, we would not have a funeral written on that list of things to do. But can 2025 still be a good year?
Oh, hands down, absolutely. And I love that you started with that. And you know, in thinking about the sudden trip down to well, up, actually up, definitely up.
It's definitely up. To the heat, to the humidity.
Oh my gosh, one forgets how humid it is up here. But anyway, being here and just, you know, the time I had, because I booked my ticket so late, I was in transit for quite a while yesterday. And so I had a lot of time to think and process it. And I was sitting in the airport and I had a glass of water in front of me, and I was just thinking, you know, it's a bit like the glass of water life is. And so if I'm thirsty and I've got a glass of water sitting in front of me, I can know that there's hope and expectation that I can take a sip of water and I won't be thirsty once I've had the water. And yet, if that's all I've got is the hope and expectation that I can have a drink, it still takes something more than just hoping and expecting. I need to reach out. I need to pick up the glass and drink from the cup of water in order to quench my thirst. And I think it just had me thinking that, you know, that's like life. It's one thing to hope and expect. And I agree with what you've just said about the neuroscience. You know, if we are looking for evidence that this will be a great year, that to me, like that actively and intentionally looking for evidence of a good year is like picking up the cup and drinking. And so, and I think there are quite a few things that we can do that take intention and action. And it isn't going to just sit and like fall out of the sky, you know. I mean, God may want to bless us, and it might be a year of the Lord's favour for sure. And definitely, I believe that He's got a big role to play for sure. It's how do we partner with that?
So, well, how do we partner? Like, where do we start?
Well, listening to the eulogies that I listened to today, you know, had also me reflecting on the values that this person lived by. And it was shared that one of his greatest values was a love for people. And that is hands down, I think, everybody's experience of how he was with people. And they were good family friends of ours. And he would really, like, he just had this big heart of love. And he was an example of love personified. Yeah. And I think for any person walking around, if you are focused on loving on others, it's going to be a good year.
It is going to be a good year.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something beautiful about it. Like we both get to have a career, I suppose you'd say, in coaching, right? Where we get to partner with people. And we get to do that by working alongside somebody. And it's an intentional thing to join alongside somebody, to love people, to cheer them on, encourage. And yes, the person receiving gets a boost, but my goodness, it boosts my heart.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And it thrills my heart, and love, and it's a biblical thing. We're called to love others.
Yeah.
And it's because it it meets our own needs. It's how we are created.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in the loving of others, and what you and I love so much about being in the coaching space is coaching is about, where we focus, and it's focusing on potential for good things,
Yeah.
and it's focusing on with, helping people sort of to focus on. So let's take our eyes off what you don't want for a moment, and let's turn it and try and put the light on what is it that you would like instead, and what is the potential, and what is the hope, and what, how do we partner to get you there?
Yeah.
And I think that is so life-giving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's true. So loving people is a great place to start. And I think most of us have the capacity to do that to some degree in our life.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like big things, and again, if I think back on the spring that we were celebrating today, it was even just the genuine way he would look you in the eye with the biggest smile ever and greet you like he actually meant what he was saying.
Yeah.
And it's incredible how, you can greet someone and kind of not make eye contact and just sort of, it's just, what you're doing because it's what everybody says and it's just like more rote.
It's just what you do.
Or you can be genuine. And so that we can do. And it's not necessarily that you're stepping way out of your way to do huge
extravagant, which we can too,
Absolutely.
obviously. But, if this is something new, particularly that we sort of go, okay, I want 2025 to be a really great year. I'm going to be intentional to love on people. It can just start with really true connection.
Yeah.
Eye contact, checking in on people and loving them.
And checking in because your heart is there to actually hear what they have to say. And it's not about needing to have the answers for everything or needing to be able to fix something. And I think I remember a time in my life where I used to sometimes feel like, I don't really want to ask someone because that means that I've got to go and do X, Y, and Z. But what if it doesn't, And I think in my own world, even just knowing that somebody has asked because they care and they want to know is way more than, someone trying to come in and take over.
Yeah.
Fix things for me.
That's right. There's not many things worse than voicing a problem and then having it suddenly solved when really you just want it to be heard. So, okay. So that's a great place to start. So what else can we do then in our day-to-day? We spoke a little bit about when you were unpacking that about our focus, about where we're looking. And it reminds me of the analogy of, when you learn to drive a car. And I remember when I was learning to drive a car, I was looking at the lines on the road and I was trying to stay in the middle. And it was like a bit wobbly, right? Because I was trying to stay in the middle. My focus was directly getting all the details right. And that wasn't smooth driving. And I know that if I was to look at the corner, I'd be worried about hitting something on the side. And of course, if you're looking at the corner, you're more likely to go and hit it. They say racing car drivers, when they come into a chicane, obviously you don't look at the wall and the chicane, you look at where you need to go.
Yeah.
And so I love that you spoke about that, about having our eyes on where we want to go. And that doesn't mean knowing what job that is. It doesn't necessarily mean knowing the details. I think for me, that means knowing how I want to show up every day.
It's more the being, hey, like how you want to be when you show up.
Yeah.
And first of all, just for our listeners, I wanted to have you know that Aly is a brilliant driver. So Aly picked me up today in the most gorgeous, ancient
cruiser. Raised, it's bouncy.
We had a lot of laughs sharing.
Just even getting in the car.
Yeah. But Aly, fabulous driver, and I felt really safe in the big tank behind the wheel, so I didn't hit any bumps or any.
No, we didn't.
Yeah. So,
Which is good.
but you're also right. It's you know, and it's like learning to ride a bicycle. Also, you get taught to keep your eyes on where you want the bike to go. You know, and I mean, there's all these sporting analogies. If you're skiing, don't, you know, if you want to miss the trees, don't focus on
Look at the trees.
You know, look at the smooth run you want to make. And so you're right. And I think I used to get caught up in that thinking, but I don't know what I want. And I don't know where I want to go. And I don't have the clear answer to see exactly where it is that I'm getting to. And I'm learning more and more that sometimes it's a choice of a way of being. You know, even just the choice of, oh, I actually want to be kind or kinder, and I'm going to be intentional in having a little patience.
Mhm.
You know, like those are all, you know, biblically what is love, it's patient, it's kind, it's, you know, it doesn't see, it's not what arrogant or but self-boasting and self-serving. And so, gosh, you know, just taking that as a starting point.
That's a great map. Yeah, wow. Okay, it's going to be a big year. All right. Yeah, but that's true. That's a really great place to start. What is love? What does it look like? And how do I get to show up and be that?
Yeah. So I mean, if that's the only thing we decide is the thing that we're going to focus on trying to do this year. Yeah, that's a really good place to start. You know. And
what's coming to my mind now is sometimes it's really hard to do all those things, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes just getting out of bed is hard to do and all of those things. But what I've been thinking about, and we actually spoke a bit about it towards the end of last year, and it's something that I've been intentionally working on with some people, is around gratitude and how it actually helps us to have access to wanting to show up, to seeing beauty, to wanting to love, because when we've got a heart of gratitude, it starts to inspire us.
Well, that's just the metaphor for if I've got a heart of gratitude, it's the open road. I'm looking at the road ahead where I want to go.
That's right.
If I'm looking at all that's wrong and all that I'm grumpy about and moaning and complaining, that's like looking at the trees, you know.
Oh, look at you. It is too. Yeah, and that's the action then. So if you know, we're having, because we all have these days, right, and seasons, and absolutely. But if we are wanting to be expectant to see 2025 as a year of the Jubilee, how do we show up? If we're struggling with what that looks like, often it will start there with having the heart of gratitude so that we can work out how it is to show up.
Yeah,
because that's the act of it itself. And yeah, that's.
And I mean, there's a lot being written also about just how you start your day.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's a lot of truth in that, you know, and I'm very much, and you and I would be the same from a coaching perspective. We're very wary of, you know, prescribing, like you have to do this or you have to do that, because we understand we are all wired differently. But I think if the intention is set to start your day in gratitude, and deciding that you would like to position your heart for love. I mean, it's easy that you know, what's often the case when that's the intention.
Yeah, and you haven't met anybody or said good morning to anybody yet. Yeah.
Yeah, and then often, you know, you're kind of focusing on that, and then something will come your way that just like presses all the buttons, and you just think, oh my gosh, it's so hard. But I think you're right. I mean, there is a lot to be said about starting your day and choosing to be grateful.
Well, we all have a routine, something I've been learning. So I've often said, I'm not a routine person, whether we like it or not, we have a routine, whether we acknowledge it. So our routine might be hitting snooze 50 times. It might be rolling over and moaning about our day. It might be dragging ourselves out and putting the kettle on to make a cup up.
Yeah.
We all have some sort of routine.
Yeah.
And I think how we start our day, absolutely, is it working for us? So that might be a really good question to ask ourselves starting 2025. Is our morning routine, like firstly, what is it?
Yeah.
Let's become aware of what it actually looks like.
Yeah.
And is it working for us?
Yeah.
And if we think maybe that's not setting myself up to have the right attitude, to have the right filter over my eyes, to setting me up for success, I wonder what it would look like if we did it a bit differently.
Yeah.
that might be a good place to start.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely love that. And the next place my brain is going to is if you're listening and thinking about this, the next thing I've often done, and a lot of us often do then, is we then want to completely do an overhaul of the routine and change everything about it, you know. And you and I both know.
I'm seeing red warning lights right now.
And so sometimes it isn't working for me. And it's I think the next encouragement is what's one small little change. You know, you don't need to overhaul the whole morning or the whole routine, but what's one tweak that your heart has a desire to make. You know, you might have your head saying, oh, I should do this, or I have to do that, I've been told X, Y, Z, but what's your heart saying? You know, what's the longing in there that
Yeah, what's your one thing?
Yeah.
And your one thing will be different to my one thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't hit snooze. I hear the alarm and I'm usually up before the alarm. In fact, actually, it's usually the dog waking me up before the alarm. I'm yelling out, no, Sally, go back to bed.
Okay. Yeah.
But your one thing is going to be different to my one thing.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I love that you said it already, we're all that differently. And that's the beauty. Imagine if we're all the same. Yeah. Okay, so we've spoken about the year of the Jubilee. What's our part in that?
Yeah.
It's to love.
And you know, and also to expect that this is going to be a great year, you know, in spite of the ups and downs and the struggles and the challenges, which we all know are coming, you know, that's life. But if we can decide that, you know what, there's something about the year of the favor of the Lord, and that excites me. You know, I get excited thinking, oh my gosh, that if this is such a year, I absolutely want to be a part of that. Like, I don't want to miss it, and you know, so be on the sidelines. And so, but being a part of it is stepping in and making some choices.
Making some choices, and I liked how you started off with the glass, taking a sip, but also choosing to see, is the glass half full or half empty?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
picking it up and having a sip.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Well, as always, you know what? I love talking to you. I love even more that you're here in the room.
Oh, it's so
We get to
special.
have this little bit of time together, and we just want to wish all of our audience, you know, an amazing year ahead. Position yourself well. Look, expecting good things to come your way, and if you're wanting to be surrounded by people who are like-minded, who are expecting 2025 to be a great year, then join us in our membership, because we have some great people in there.
Oh,
Kath.
absolutely. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited about what this year's going to look like inside the membership. And yeah.
The link will be in the notes. Check it out. We'd love to have you on board. And yeah, I think that's all for today.
Love you guys. And yeah,
Well,
thanks,
talk
Al.
soon.
Talk soon.